across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains. Through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, the Basketball League in Africa, and coming in from the world of football, managers continue to move from one club side to the other in Europe.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Okay, Team Nigeria is set to enter into camp ahead of the Olympic Games. It is now very clear that Team Nigeria has never been this well prepared ahead of Olympic Games.
The preparation has been top-notch. From what we've seen so far, we hear that the athletes, of course, will be camping in 3 states, Lagos, Bayelsa State, and Oyo State, and the preparation has been top-notch. I think the Sport Minister, John Owanino, has been on his toes, this particular one, to make sure that, the team get the best of preparation ahead of the Paris Olympic Games. When you take a look at what happened in our last outing in the Tokyo Olympics, you'll see that it was really an abysmal, preparation in a situation whereby, of course, the athletes didn't have a very good welfare. They didn't have, a better, jersey, of course, to participate in their various events. And some of the athletes, we have about 10 of the athletes, of course, were suspended due to, out of competition tests, and all of that. But I think the Minister of Sports and the different sporting federation, they're doing everything they can at this point in time to make sure that they go down there to Paris and put up a better representation. We hear there will also be visitation to some countries that are close to France, just to make sure that these players or the athletes, of course, get themselves familiarized with some environments as a stand, and it's a good one. And from what we've seen so far, about 11 federations, of course, will be participating this time in the Paris Olympic Games. The weightlifting federation is there, the boxing federation is there, as well as the athletic federation and many other federations as well. So I think for me, of amassing medals, at the Paris Olympic Games. The last time in Tokyo, I think it was Blessing Obrodudu who was able to give us a silver medal, in wrestling. But I think when you take a look at the level of people, of course, amass more medal this time at the Olympic Games.
Best of luck to Team Nigeria as they prepare towards the Olympic Games. The Olympic Games comes up in just about 6 weeks or so from now, and all countries are in top-notch preparation ahead of the Olympic Games. How have we all qualified? Have all the federations?
1 or 2 athletes are into qualification. I think that's in wrestling. I think for that of athletics, a majority of the athletes, for this one, that are toes, making sure that they go down there and give up their best. We saw what happened, at the All African Games in Ghana. At least that is a huge statement of intent that our athletes are very much ready. We saw what the Weightlifting Federation did down there in Ghana, Athletic Federation as well. Not forgetting the Boxing Federation, which we know, of course, they've not been on their very best, for some time. But we've seen a rejuvenated Boxing Federation at this time around, and they're also participating, in this particular one. So for me, I think it's a plus, for Team Nigeria, looking at the fact that we're going with these numbers of, federations. I think for me, it will go a long way in helping us in our mass movement. These are things that we normally talked about, or participate in the global competitions like this time. We don't, involve ourselves in so many sports. But this time, I think we're going to see ourselves, in different sports. And I think for me, it gives Nigeria, that opportunity of amassing more medals this time around.
Talking about different sports reminds me that General Manager Itsa Lawal Salau of the Nigerian Rugby League has announced a kickoff date for the 2024 season. Rugby is not very popular here in Nigeria, but it's gaining momentum from the administrative level.
Yeah, it's actually gaining momentum, as I was speaking, as a stand. And rugby, of course, we understand some years ago it was actually banned due to, the interference, of governments and all of that. But I think with the new current, president for the federation, that's going to be seeing the women's league and as well the men's league as well. So it's actually a very beautiful one that rugby, of course, will be back in the country. And when you talk about rugby, just like you mentioned, not a popular sport down here in Nigeria, and so many persons, of course, do not really involve themselves. And from what we're seeing, we just hope that they'll be able to get the best of support to be able to run the league, because it's not easy. And what the federation, of course, they have to do at this point in time is to see how they can get sponsorship and look forward to make sure that they are able to sustain the running of the league, just like what was seen in the handball league of recent, which the phase 1 for the league, has just ended, and they'll be looking forward, to come back in the phase 2. And it's been very, very impressive. We have a smooth ride, and they even have sponsors, and that's why we're seeing the smooth running of the league. So if the rugby league, of course, can take the same direction, I think for me, we'll start, seeing rugby, of course, taking center stage down here in Nigeria.
There is, of course, some conferences involved in this, and we understand each of the teams will field squad in the men, women, and under 19 categories. And it is expected to get started on the 24th of June, and we're hoping that the regions where these conferences are taking place will experience, let's say, motivated interest in rugby. Of course, there is participation from men, like I said, and of course the under-17 team. So it is an all-round competition out there starting on the 24th of June. Let's now go to basketball. And talking about basketball reminds me that tomorrow is the final of the Basketball League in Africa Season 4. And it is expected that Ahali Benghazi will take on Petro de Luanda of Angola in an epic final. This is the first time, Kingsley, where...
And I think the organizers, they've done something huge. The expansion of the tournament, into 3 conferences, actually also brought this beauty we're seeing at this point in time. That's what gave even the Libyan side, talking about Ahali Benghazi, of course, to be able to, go this far in the competition. We saw teams like Bangu, in the conference stage of the competition, had an impressive performance as well, but couldn't go far. But, it's really been an impressive edition of the Basketball African League, and we hope to see, it, come to climax, tomorrow, when Ali Benghazi, of course, this is their first time coming to the league and actually taking everything by storm. I think for me, it's really been an impressive side. For Petro de Luanda, of course, they've been here. They've gathered a little bit of experience, and as well, nobody expected them, of course, to go far, but it's the beauty of it, the beauty of basketball down here in Africa. I think for me, it's a very lovely one. And for River Supers, we hope that they will get their own, don't dust it as well, and see how they can secure the place. The coach of the side, Ogo Daudu, actually talked about, podium finish even before they got to the semi-final of the competition. And I think for me, it's not really far from there, looking at how far they've gone, if not because of that, a little bit of sleep we saw against the Libyan side, talking about Ali Benghazi. Maybe we would have been talking River Supers being in the final, at this point in time. But it is what it is. For me, I think they've done well. They surpassed their expectation in this one. We'll just look forward to see them, having a podium finish at the end of the day.
Talking about River Supers at the Basketball League in Africa today, like I mentioned, is D-Day because they are into the 3rd place match. Who gets the 3rd place position? Will it be River Supers or it will be Cape Town Tigers of South Africa? Both of them coming this far, they are in the competition. Yes, for Cape Town Tigers, they are debutants at the competition and they are into the 3rd place fixture.
Tell you, that's the surprises we've been talking about at this point. And for me, I think they also did well when you take a look at their run.
They beat the giant of basketball in Africa, Ahali of Egypt, remember?
Yeah.
In that, in fact, they sent, Fus of Rabat of Morocco out of the competition. They were the number 8 seed, eliminated the number 1 seed.
I tell you, and that's the surprises I've been talking about in this particular competition. The teams, of course, you expected to have gone far. The likes of US Monastir, they started poorly. The likes of Ahali, yes, they started well, but the Libyan side, we actually made their debut, actually hosted them out in this competition. Cape Town Tigers as well, from South Africa, also put up a very impressive performance against another northern team, talking about Fus Rabat of Morocco. And I think for me, it's actually something huge. We talked about, the North Africans dominating the competition, ever since it started. And I think for me, we're going to see maybe a little bit of shift now. We might be seeing, teams, from other region of Africa, putting up a dominance this time around in the competition. So for me, it's going to be an interesting, one between River Supers and Cape Town Tigers of South Africa, because you take a look at both sides, they had an impressive performance, they had an impressive run, coming down to this stage for the competition. So from what we've seen from River Supers, I think the boys, they've actually learned their lesson, taking a look at what happened against Ahali Benghazi.
They were a little bit sloppy in defense.
A little bit sloppy in defense, and some kind of, silly decisions, after the 4th quarter.
Overtime?
Yes, actually put up that lay down, for them in that particular one. I think they struggled. They did their best. We saw how they struggled in the 1st quarter. 2nd quarter, they were struggling. Not until the 4th quarter, which we saw them coming up about 73-73 against Ahali Benghazi. And of course, for me, the reason why we saw that, lay down for them the Ahali Benghazi side, of course, they were very, very much good on the very day. And most of the players, they have that height, and they were able, of course, to use that height advantage and some technical ability, of course, to overshadow River Super. But against Cape Town Tigers, I think it's going to be a very interesting
There was
one.
this, belief that the referee didn't make some of the calls that should have been in favor of River Supers.
Yeah, some of the calls, that, we saw Awi Perry was found about 2 to 3 times in that game. Kevin Amayo, Divine Eke as well. But the referee, of course, didn't actually, put up those calls, for River Supers. That is also one of the setback River Supers also, had in that particular encounter. And there were also issues of fouls, turnovers, and being good as well on the 3-pointers, overthrows as well.
I think 3-pointers let them down. They tried to use 3-pointers to improve on their standing, but they didn't. We're talking about River Supers. River State government, under the leadership of Similaye Fubara, and of course the sports commissioner, Barrister Chris Ogre, seem to have done their very best, providing everything that this team needs. And I won't be surprised if there will be a 3rd place medal. And of course, that podium finish for River Supers, as well, giving color to the first year anniversary.
To make sure that they have a better preparation. So for me, I think the governor, has actually been on their side. The level of support he has given to them, I think this is the reason why they've been able to get to this stage of the competition. If not with that, if not because of the injection of those foreign-based players, I don't think they would have actually gone this far. So for me, it was a very huge level of support. And I think for me, the only way to reward or maybe pay back, the efforts of the governor is just for them at least to see how they can actually finish, maybe the 3rd position. Yes, the 3rd position at this point in time, to make sure that, of course, they make the governor smile, taking a look at all of the efforts he has put in for the team.
3rd place podium finish would be just good enough for River State and Nigeria for getting to the basketball league for the very first time. No matter what happens, I think this team have done Nigeria proud very well. And of course, the River State government sponsors, sole sponsors of the team. Wish them the very best of luck. In the next few hours from now, we will see River Supers at the KB Arena in Kigali, Rwanda, take on their counterparts from South Africa, Cape Town Tigers, in a bid to determine who is the 3rd best team in Africa as we speak. Thereafter, tomorrow at the same KB Arena, Rwanda, it will be the final between Ahali Benghazi and, of course, the team from Angola, Petro de Rwanda, in what promises to be a first-time winner emerging at the basketball league in Africa. And talking about basketball, we'll go to the pinnacle of it, which is the NBA. The NBA is, we've now gotten to the very finals of the season as well, because a couple of days ago, we saw both Celtic qualify for the very final. And now the other team to be at the final has emerged. And no doubt that it can be Dallas Mavericks. Kingsley, all through the season, Dallas Mavericks have shown their intent to return back at the final. They took Timberwolves to the cleaners, 4-1 in the best of 7 series. Only the early hours of this morning, we saw them in a 124 to 103 points win over Timberwolves from Minnesota.
I knew it wasn't going to be a difficult task for them, talking about Dallas Mavericks, after they actually led about 3-1 in that game. We saw the Timberwolves side, came back in the 4th game, making it 3-1. But I knew it was going to be, I knew it was going to be difficult, of course, for them to make up a comeback and see how they can see that one against Dallas Mavericks side that have been very, very fantastic, especially with the help of Luka Doncic, who has also been very, very fantastic, for them, in that particular one I was saying. And take a look at the map for Boston Celtics. Since 2008, they've not won the title, and this time is another opportunity for them to see how they can put up another impressive performance for them. And so for me, it's going to be an interesting, NBA final to watch out for.
Look at Doncic, no doubt, MVP of the season.
MVP of the season, and I tell you, he's been very, very impressive. You take a look at his, performance so far for the Dallas Mavericks side. For me, he's been very, very fantastic. And talking about MVP of the season, I think he actually, merits that particular award. We look forward to see what he'll be able to do for the Dallas Mavericks side in the finals. In
the last 13 years, we've never seen Dallas Mavericks in the final. The last time they were in the final was in 2011, and this will be their 3rd final in their history, basketball in America. Dallas Mavericks favorite against the Eastern champions, and talking about the opponents in the event, you definitely would think that this will be a big mountain for Dallas Mavericks to climb.
Big mountain for Dallas Mavericks to climb, but I think we just have to keep our fingers crossed till the game kicks off, because you never can tell. We've actually seen some surprises so far in this NBA season. We saw how Denver Nuggets, of course, were
Boston Celtics is no mean team, and they've shown clearly that. Well, something interesting. 4-1, 4-1. This is how they've qualified. That shows a clear difference between them. Indiana Pacers and the Boston Celtics. Then now Minnesota Timberwolves against Dallas Mavericks as well.
Yeah, it actually shows tenacity, resilience, and look at the both teams actually look very much optimistic. They had a very impressive performance qualifying down to the finals. But I think yes, this means a whole lot for them, and they want to grab it. For the Boston Celtics side, since 2008, when they last won the title, they've not been here, and this is going to be another opportunity for them to be able to fight for this one as well. So for me, it's going to be a very tight one. I would just have to keep our fingers crossed and see how the first game, of course, will pan out, and then we'll look forward to
see some with the scoring title as well emerging with the NBA championship. Look at John Kick, no doubt, the man from Europe, lighting up basketball in the United States of America. Time for us to take a break. When we return from the break, we'll go to the ever-busy world of tennis. The Grand Slam in France is making a lot of fans stay sleepless nights. We've seen a couple of five-setters games in the NBA, sorry, in the French Open, and it's getting more and more interesting. In the females, we've seen one or two surprises, but it is Iga Swiatek still powering on at the French Open. Beyond that, in football, we've told you about high-profile movements of coaches in the European football. And tomorrow is the best we'll have to emerge in the UEFA Champions League. We'll keep our fingers crossed on it, but when we return from this break, we'll let you know what could happen tomorrow, in that Wembley encounter between two of the best European sides for year 2023-2024. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
Corruption not in my country.
Driver, why you just dey jack us up and down like this now?
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask oh?
Because this road where they see, so it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so no dey, light usai, the infrastructure nko e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the people.
Corruption, well everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No vex, now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, The prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, oh, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello? Now my body network there. I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. We call you back.
Their behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently. Make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Akin Fadayi Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara,
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and this weekend a lot is happening in the world of sports. And one prominent issue, sporting event this weekend is the first River State Marathon that is taking place tomorrow. And Kesley, this is the first time we will see, apart from the Okwekwe event, this is the first time we will having a marathon in the south of Nigeria, and it promises to be very thrilling. We understand this will be featuring some notable marathoners both here in Nigeria and some African countries.
Yes, it promises to be an exciting one, and for me, I think it's a good one that River State is taking up this initiative, in putting up something like this, at this point, and it will really go a long way, of course, in projecting the states. Just like I was saying, the Okpukpe race, being projected so far, and it has actually gotten world recognition. We've also seen the Lagos City Marathon as well, also being projected, and that has actually projected the city of Lagos, when it has to do with, marathon races. I think River State also imbibing this one is a good one, at this point in time. We're going to be seeing, home marathoners and foreign marathoners, of course, coming up, to grace this particular one. It will be an exciting one. We're looking forward to see, what, comes up, at the end of the day. For me, it's actually a very good initiative, from the River State government.
Talking about River State government organizing a marathon as part of its 1-year anniversary in office. What's the benefit for the people? We understand thousands will be involved in this one and along the routes, and keeping fit, winning prizes. What do you think will be the motivation for this first full marathon in the south of Nigeria?
For me, I think for some people, it will be a means for them to keep fit. For some as well, it will also be a means for them, to look forward to see how they could actually get the prize money at stake for this one. So surprising that in the Okpukpe race we saw last week Saturday, it was so surprising that we saw the former governor of the state, Adam Oshomole. He was actually involved in that one, and he ran, to the finish point. It was so interesting to watch. So for some, it might also be a means of keeping fit for some, and some will be looking forward, of course, to get the prize money, especially the foreign marathoners, that will be coming, I think their aim will be, of course, to also, keep fit. And also
win the prize money as well.
Yeah, to
win. Understand somebody is at stake at this one.
For them to be that would be their aim. The foreign marathoners, that would be their aim in terms of winning the prize money. So it's really going to be interesting. And I tell you, the states, of course, will be agog on that very day. A lot of persons, of course, who actually want to know what is happening, and this is a means of also projecting what the government is trying to do, for the people. So I think a lot is at stake, for the people, and we look forward to see how this one, of course, will end. We hear that the end point of the race will be at the Yakubu Gowon Stadium. That will be the end point, for the race, and I think that will also be, that will also be a lot of, commercial, activities will also go down.
Yeah,
there.
along the routes, there will be quite a lot of commercial activities going on, and like we mentioned, it is tourism endangered, let's say imbibed, because you have foreigners coming in for this marathon race. The hotels will be very busy, and food business as well will be, on the increase, especially if along the routes where this will take place. So there's a lot of commercial benefits attached to this event.
Yeah, a lot of commercial benefits. Just like you mentioned, a lot of hotels will be booked. So many owners of hotel, of course, will be able to make money from it, and people as well will also sell one or two things as well, on the road, especially at the end point of the race where, the winners, of course, will be celebrated. A lot of commercial activities will also be there. So
the rich culture of the people of the state as well will be on showcase, because we understand there will be some, events, music, and cultural displays along the routes where this event will be taking place.
It's a means of projecting the state, projecting the identity of the state, the culture, what the people of River State, of course, believe it's going to look like. It's the first edition, and a lot, of course, will be expected, from the organizers at this point. So we look forward to see it, having a glamorous, end.
First Rivers Marathon, full marathon event comes up tomorrow, and promises to be training with both local and foreign marathoners to be part of it. And like we mentioned, it is part of the first year anniversary of the governor of River State, Asimilaye Fubra. We're urging people to get involved in this one. I'm very sure that Kingsley, it won't be a bad idea if I see you among the runners that will be on the showcase. Away from the marathon event coming up tomorrow. Now let's quickly get to tennis. And talking about tennis, it is the French Open that is rocking the world of tennis. And defending champion Novak Djokovic continues to show that he's ready to go very far. After taking out his opener in the first round, it was the turn of Roberto Cabarrós Baena to be beaten, and he did that in straight set. Novak Djokovic beat him 6-4, 6-1, 6-2. We've seen him, it looked like he struggled in the first game, but now he's cruising.
Yeah, really cruising. And that's what we saw in the first encounter against a qualifier, talking about Humbert. He had a straight set victory. Of course, everyone expected Djokovic to have gotten a straight set victory against a qualifier like Humbert. And now Gabeles as well had a little bit of struggle in the first set, but the second set and the third set was very, very much, easy for him. 6-1, 6-2 in the second and the third set was really an impressive outing, of course, for Djokovic. And I tell you, it's been an impressive run. Everyone's looking forward to see how far he'll be able to, if he can possibly, of course, get down to the final. And don't forget, his #1 position, is at stake when it has to do with the ATP, looking at the fact that if he doesn't get to the semi-final of this competition, Yannick Sinner, of course, might possibly, overthrow him in that #1 position at this point in time. So I think for me, that's why Djokovic is taking it steady, slow and steady to make sure at least he gets down to the semi-final, probably the final, or winning this one. A record awaits him. Winning this one, he gets his 25th Grand Slam as well. So a lot, of course, for him, and that's why he's pushing this far.
Gabe Monfils is French. He had home support. But Lorenzo Musetti from Italy had a complete different idea, 7-5, 6-1, 6-4 at the Philippe Cotier court later yesterday.
Yeah, Lorenzo Musetti put it up that impressive performance despite, the support, for Gabe Monfils. We saw the crowd, of course, chanting and giving him that moral support, of course, on that stage. But Gabe Monfils, Lorenzo, of course, was very much, impressive. He was calm. And of course, he was able to put up that performance to see how he can be able to get that one. And he got it done and dusted, despite the fact that the crowd, of course, was not, by his side. And for me, it was a very good outing for him.
Gone and dusted. Is it the same for Alexander Zverev?
Yes, Elizabeth Zverev, putting up some impressive performances. Well, he actually booked a place, in the third round of the competition after a 7-6, 6-2 win in that encounter. Was so that this was, his next game after he put up, impressive encounter against Rafael Nadal. The man, of course, is looking forward to win a Grand Slam. It's so unfortunate that a player like Elizabeth Zverev, who has been in the game for a very long time, everyone expects him, to get to the very best of his career. It's so unfortunate that at this age and at this point in his career he has never won a Grand Slam. So for me, if he will be able to go very far and see how he can win this one for himself, it will mean a lot for him. So a lot await Zverev in this one. Can he go all the way to challenge for the title? I think for me it's also a very big question at this point in time. Huge mountain for him to climb. But you take a look at the likes of Djokovic still on the game, the likes of Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Stefanos Tsitsipas as well. These are players that are looking very much optimistic for this one. For Zverev, I think you really have to fight hard. We can't also forget Daniil Medvedev, who is also in the picture as well, looking for this particular Grand Slam. So for me, if Zverev have to get this one, he really have to be on his toes and see how he can go all the way to the final and challenge for this one.
Holger Rune had to struggle to qualify because he went through a 5-setter against Flavio. It was 6-1, 6-2, 6-3, 6-4, and 7-6. That was a long stay on the court.
Long stay on the court, and you see, of course, the man really stretched himself, down to that particular one. And for me, it means a whole lot, for him. And we'll see how far, of course, we're able to go. Holger Rune is one player, of course, everybody.
Kina had a 5-set against one exciting tennis player, Casper Ruud. Both of them stayed on the court as well for very long hours.
Alejandro,
over 3 hours. If I saw that one.
Yeah, for Kina, actually that was a very huge stretch, for them. And for Kina, I think he also had a very impressive performance, down there. And there's one thing about, having this, level of, hours on court, it stretches you out, and at some point you might not be that formidable in the next encounter. But we've seen players in tournament like this, having long hours on court and still able, of course, to put up some impressive performance. But for me, I think for Davide Fokina was really an impressive outing for him.
Let's see what happened in the female category at the French Open. Arina Sabalenka, we know her world number 2, underlined her French Open title credentials by completing another very commanding performance, I must tell you. As she took out, she just needed just 62 minutes to dismiss Japan's Mayuka Uchima 6-2, 6-2. Arina Sabalenka showing that she really wants to go far at the French Open. Yeah,
impressive one. Of course, she's been a fantastic player over time. We've seen how she has been able to struggle with world number 1, Iga Swiatek over time. We've seen her in 2 WTA final, the Italian Open and the Italian Open and the Madrid Open, which she lost, to Iga Swiatek. But I think she's still looking very much optimistic of getting something in this particular French Open. 6-2, 6-2. You see an impressive victory in that one for Arina Sabalenka. We'll just hope that she brings out her best, and be able to push herself, down to the limits, because it's going to be an interesting one, heading down probably to the semi-finals, down to the finals of the competition. We understand that Iga Swiatek is still looking very much optimistic. You could take a look at the performance. She pulled against Naomi Osaka, who almost she showed that mentality of a champion and was able to come back, in the last set and get that one done and dusted. For me, it's an impressive one, but we hope that Arina Sabalenka will be able to.
She has Paolo Badosa to contend with in the third round.
Another, strong opponent for Arina Sabalenka, and we hope, of course, she'll be able to put up the impressive performance we've seen from her to make sure she also get this one done and dusted.
What's happening is a 125 seed taking out one of the top players in the competition.
Yeah, and we'll see how that was really, it's and
Olga Danilovic.
So far we've seen, some, we haven't really seen much surprises, but this is one of them, as it is.
Danielle Collins, no doubt, one of the best tennis female players you can find at the French Open, and now she's been ousted by player ranked as low as 125.
So unfortunate, because this is her last season. Remember, she said she was going to retire, at the end of this season, and being ousted out at the French Open at this stage, by a lowly ranked player. For me, it's so unfortunate for Danielle Collins. We saw how she started 3 months ago, outclassing bigger opponents on her way down to the French Open, and the way she's actually been dismantled, I think for me is so unfortunate. And this is our last, French Open since the chess is going to retire. And for me, we just hope that she'll be able to bounce back in other WTA tournaments and the other Grand Slam for the year.
This will be the French Open to forget for Jelena Ostapenko, because she was champion there in 2017. But coming back in 2024, she's been ousted by a relatively unknown player, Clara Townsend of Denmark. Sent her out 7-6, 4-6, 6-3. And this is not looking good. She's ranked as low as this year's competition.
Disappointing performance, you would say, for Jelena Ostapenko. Everyone expected her to have get that one, done and dusted. Haven't been the fact that she has a little bit of experience, when playing in the clay court, as it is. And for me, it's one of the surprises we've seen, so. The smaller players are trying to see how they can spring up themselves, and that's what it is. So if you're not careful, you might be going home, and that's what we saw in that encounter between Naomi Osaka and Iga Swiatek. The other players are trying to see how they can pull up themselves, in this one. And I think for me it was a disappointing performance for Jelena Ostapenko.
Disappointing indeed for Jelena, and we just hope that she'll find a way of coming back as well. Iga Swiatek, the leader of women in tennis right now in the world, how far is she going? It was her birthday.
Yeah, today's her birthday, and she'll be looking forward, of course, to cement another win for herself after she survived that, huge threat from Naomi Osaka, who just came back from maternity, leave. And for me, I think there's going to be another opportunity for her to see how she can get herself, through. Don't forget, she's the defending champion, and she's standing very strong to see how she can defend this one. She's very good in clay. Of course, everyone is not tagging her the queen of clay. When you take a look at her performance, we saw that comeback against Naomi Osaka. No one expected her to, of course, to get that one, but by surprise, we saw Iga Swiatek coming back to get that victory. So for me, really an impressive one. We'll see how she's going to be able to do this one today to celebrate her birthday.
Birthday girl. Iga Swiatek, world #1 in female tennis. And let's stay away from tennis quickly and go to football and talk about football. Now the venues and date for the quarterfinal fixtures of the President Federation's Cup has been revealed. Kingsley, the Nigerian Football Federation working hard to ensuring that the season can end right on time, with quarterfinal matches to be played on the 5th of June. Is this proactive measure coming from NFF?
Really proactive, but for me it's very late. We hear CAF has given deadline for the submission of teams for the continental competitions, and that date is on the 15th of June, and they'll be playing the quarterfinal encounter on the 5th of June. We have about 5 games remaining in the Nigerian Premier Football League, which will take about 5 weeks, to get that one done and dusted, except they'll want to make an adjustment and see how teams can merge themselves and see how they can play those matches. Except that I think they won't be able to meet up that deadline being set up by CAF. But good one, we're seeing the quarterfinal pairings now for the Federation Cup, and for me it's really been an impressive ride from what we've seen from the Federation Cup. This might possibly go down in favor of for the teams from the NNL, because we've seen them hosting out the Nigerian Premier Football League teams. The other day we saw the likes of Aqua United, being hosted out as well. Rivers United were also hosted out from the competition, Eyimba as well. So it actually calls for huge level of, surprises, as it stands, and we might possibly see the NNL team, of course, taking up this one this time.
Well, talking about football, there's been some joy in the camp of Edo Queens, because the governor of Edo State has donated 1 million naira each to the players that won, and of course, the Super Six are 5 million each.
5 million naira for each of them. Also a very huge way to reward it. Don't forget, these players are also being paid. So for me, it's a good one for Edo Queens. I will hope that apart from what they've done, they'll be able to go down to the continent and be able to prove themselves, because it's not always easy down there. We've seen teams like Rivers Angels, they went down to the continent and, of course, didn't have the very best of performance. But Asa Queens, of course, I think they're the only team in the Nigerian Football League that have actually gone far in the CAF Women Champions League. They've finished 3rd. We hope that of Edo Queens, of course, they will be able to surpass that record, of course, being set by Bayelsa Queens. For me, it's a good one from the Edo State governor.
Tomorrow, there will be fixtures in the Nigerian Premier League. Any special attraction for all of the fixtures tomorrow?
Yeah, I think there are also special attractions, for what we're seeing at this point in time. It's going to be an impressive one. Remo Stars, we're going to see Remo Stars. We're going to see League Toppers, Enugu Rangers. We're going to see the likes of Lobby Stars, and the rest. These are teams that are actually fighting, for the league title. And I think the match day 34 encounter, of course, will mean a lot, for them from what we're seeing at this point in time. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed and say we'll get it. Enugu Rangers looking very much optimistic, topping the league table now with about 4-point difference, ahead of Enyimba Football Club, as it is. So I think the match day 34 encounter will really mean a lot, for this team. I'll look forward to see, of course, how the games, of course, will pan out at the end of the day.
Well, a lot is coming up, and I tell you, in football, teams are preparing for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. In Africa, in the next 7 days, there will be the race to qualify for the World Cup, and Super Eagles of Nigeria are expected to be in action against their counterparts from South Africa, the Bafana, at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium. But it looks like there's been a large injury hit to the camp of the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Yeah, large injury hits, and some of the players are taking excuses. Yesterday, we got to report that the Bayer Leverkusen man talking about Nathan Teller of course, has excused himself, from the World Cup qualifiers. It's not really an interesting news, and the likes of Victor Osimhen, we hear he sustained injury and won't be able to take part in the encounter against South Africa. Also got to report about William Troost-Ekong as well. Kenneth Mero not in this one. Olaoluwa Aina as well, of course, won't be in this qualifiers. And these are, top players, when it has to do with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And for me, I just pray that, Finidi George will be able to see how to, position the players on ground to see how they can get a favorable result, against the Bafana of South Africa. We saw how both teams, clash in the African Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. Was really an intense encounter, and we hope that they were able to better the performance we saw. It was, I think, by the grace of God, that the Super Eagles were able to get past the Bafana on that very day. It ended on penalties, and if not because of Stanley Nwabali, who was in goal, it would have been another disappointing outing for the Super Eagles against the Bafana. But I think there's home advantage in this one. The game we played at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium. I will know how that stadium, of course, has been of a huge favor to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And of course, despite the injury worries, despite the setback for some players, I think we'll just hope that Finidi George will be able to see how to put up his tactics and see how he can use the players on ground to get a favorable result. This is a must win, should be a must win and a must qualification for the Super Eagles due to the All-Star we saw last time. They couldn't get down to the Qatar World Cup. This should be a must win for them.
Well, we're running out of time, but like we mentioned to you, tomorrow is D-Day at UEFA Champions League final, because all is now set at the Wembley Stadium. Kisley, quickly, how prepared is Wembley Stadium? I understand as much as $22 million will be for the winner of the competition. Of course, if you come second, of course, there will be a second place team at the end of the day. You will earn as